El Capitan is a vertical rock formation in Yosemite National Park, located on the north side of Yosemite Valley, near its western end. The granite monolith extends about 3,000 feet from base to summit along its tallest face and is one of the world's favorite challenges for rock climbers and base jumpers. The formation was named El Capitan by the Mariposa Battalion when it explored the valley in 1851. El Capitan was taken to be a loose Spanish translation of the local Native American name for the cliff, variously transcribed as To-tock-ah-noo-lah or To-tock-ah-noo-lah. It is unclear if the Native American name referred to a specific tribal chief or simply meant the chief or rock chief. In modern times, the formation's name is often contracted to El Cap, especially among rock climbers and base jumpers. The top of El Capitan can be reached by hiking out of Yosemite Valley on the trail next to Yosemite Falls, then proceeding west. For climbers, the challenge is to climb up the sheer granite face. There are many named climbing routes, all of them arduous, including Iron Hawk and Sea of Dreams, for example. Geology. El Capitan is composed almost entirely of granite, a pale, coarse-grained granite emplaced approximately 100 miles. In addition to El Capitan, this granite forms most of the rock features of the western portions of Yosemite Valley. A separate intrusion of igneous rock, the Taft granite, forms the uppermost portions of the cliff face. A third igneous rock, diorite, is present as dark-veined intrusions through both kinds of granite, especially prominent in the area known as the North America Wall. Along with most of the other rock formations of Yosemite Valley, El Capitan was carved by glacial action. Several periods of glaciation have occurred in the Sierra Nevada, but the Sherwin glaciation, which lasted from approximately 1.3 million years ago to 1 mile, is considered to be responsible for the majority of the sculpting. The El Capitan granite is relatively free of joints, and as a result the glacial ice did not erode the rock face as much as other, more jointed, rocks nearby. Nonetheless, as with most of the rock-forming Yosemite's features, El Capitan's granite is under enormous internal tension brought on by the compression experienced prior to the erosion that brought it to the surface. These forces contribute to the creation of features such as the Texas flake, a large block of granite slowly detaching from the main rock face about halfway up the side of the cliff. Climbing history. Once considered impossible to climb, El Capitan is now the standard for big wall climbing. El Cap has two main faces, the southwest and the southeast. Between the two faces juts a prow. While today there are numerous established routes on both faces, the most popular and historically famous route is the nose, which follows the south buttress, pioneering the nose. The nose was first climbed in 1958 by Warren Harding, Wayne Merry and George Whitmore in 47 days using siege tactics, climbing in an expedition style using fixed ropes along the length of the route, linking established camps along the way. The fixed manila ropes allowed the climbers to ascend and descend from the ground up throughout the 18-month project, although they presented unique levels of danger as well, sometimes breaking due to the long exposure to cold temperatures. The climbing team relied heavily on aid climbing, using rope, pitons and expansion bolts to make it to the summit. The second ascent of the nose was in 1960 by Royal Robbins, Joe Fitchlin, Chuck Pratt and Tom Frost, who took 7 days in the first continuous climb of the route without siege tactics. The first solo climb of the nose was done by Tom Bauman in 1969. The first ascent of the nose in 1 day was accomplished in 1975 by John Long, Jim Bridwell and Billy Westbay. Today, the nose typically takes fit climbers 4 to 5 days of full climbing, and has a success rate of around 60%. Expansion of routes efforts during the 1960s and 1970s explored the other faces of El Capitan, and many of the early routes are still popular today. Among the early classics are Salade Wall on the southwest face, and the North America Wall on the southeast face. Also climbed in the 1960s are routes such as Dihedral Wall, West Buttress, and Muir Wall. Later ascents include Wall of the Early Morning Light, now known as Dawn Wall, on the southeast face, adjacent to the Prow, Zodiac, the Shield, Mesclito, Pacific Ocean Wall, Sea of Dreams, and Jolly Roger. Today there are over 70 routes on El Cap of various difficulties and danger levels. New routes continue to be established, usually consisting of additions to or links between existing routes. Solo climbing. After his successful solo ascent of the Leaning Tower, Royal Robbins turned his attention to the Eventuality Herbert Muir Wall route, completing the first solo ascent of El Capitan during a 10-day push in 1968. The first solo ascents of El Capitan's 4 classic siege routes were accomplished by Thomas Baumann on the nose in 1969, Peter Hann on the Salade Wall in 1972, Robert Ken on the Leighton Core, Steve Roper West Buttress route in 1982, and Beverly Johnson on the Cooper Baldwin Denny Dihedral Wall route in 1978. Other noteworthy early solo ascents were the solo first ascent of Cosmos by Jim Dunn in 1972, Zodiac by Charlie Porter in 1972, Tangerine Trip by David Mittel in 1985, and the Pacific Ocean Wall by Robert Slater in 1982. These ascents were long 7 to 14-day ordeals that required the solo climber lead each pitch, and then rappel, clean the climbing gear, reascend the lead rope, and haul equipment, food, and water using a second haul rope. Ascents by women. Beverly Johnson was the first woman to successfully ascend El Capitan via the nose route, with Dan Assay in June 1973. In September 1973, Beverly Johnson and Sybil Hechtel were the first team of women to ascend El Capitan via the triple direct route, which takes the first 10 pitches of the Salade Wall, then continues up the middle portion of El Capitan via the Muir Wall, and finishes on the upper pitches of the nose route. In 1977, Molly Higgins and Barb Eastman climbed the nose, to become the second party of women to climb El Capitan and the first to climb it via the nose. In 1978, Bev Johnson was the first woman to solo El Capitan by climbing the Dihedral Wall. Hazel Findlay has made 3 free ascents of El Capitan, including the first female ascent of Golden Gate in 2011, the first female ascent of Muir Wall in 2012, and a 3-day ascent of Free Rider in 2013. Free climbing. As it became clear that any non-crumbling face could be conquered with sufficient perseverance and bolt hole drilling, some climbers began searching for El Cap routes that could be climbed either free or with minimal aid. The west face route was free climbed in 1979 by Ray Jardine and Bill Price, but despite numerous efforts by Jardine and others, the nose resisted free attempts for another 14 years. The first free ascent of a main El Cap route, though, was not the nose, but Salade Wall. Todd Skinner and Paul Piana made the first free ascent over 9 days in 1988, after 30 days of working the route. The nose was the second major route to be free climbed. Two pitches on the nose blocked efforts to free the route. The Great Roof, graded 5.13C, and Changing Corners, graded 5.14A-B. In 1993, Lynn Hill came close to freeing the nose, making it past the Great Roof and up to Camp 6 without falling. Stopped only on Changing Corners by a piton jammed in a critical fingerhold. After removing the piton, she reclimbed the route from the ground. After 4 days of climbing, Hill reached the summit, making her the first person to free climb the nose. A year later, Hill returned to free climb the nose in a day, this time reaching the summit in just 23 hours and setting a new standard for free climbing on El Cap. The nose saw a second free ascent in 1998 when Scott Burke summited after 261 days of effort. On October 14, 2005, Tommy Caldwell and Beth Rodden, husband and wife, became the third and fourth people to free climb the nose. They took 4 days on the ascent, swapping leads with each climber free climbing each pitch, either leading or following. 2 days later, Caldwell returned to free climb the nose in less than 12 hours. Caldwell returned 2 weeks later to free climb El Cap twice in a day, completing the nose with Rodden, then descending and leading freerider in a combined time of 23 hours 23 minutes. On January 14, 2015, Tommy Caldwell and Kevin Jorgensen completed the first free climb of the Dawn Wall after 19 days, one of the hardest climbs in the world. Speed climbing El Cap is also popular. The record for the nose has changed hands several times in the past few years. The record currently belongs to Alex Honnold and Hans Florine, who broke the previous record by almost 13 minutes, with a time of 2 hours 23 minutes and 46 seconds on June 17, 2012. Mayan Smith-Gobert and Libby Sauter broke the speed record for an all-women team, with a time of 4:43, on October 23, 2014. On November 6, 2010, Dean Potter and Sean Leary had established the previous record at 2 hours 36 minutes and 45 seconds, breaking the old record held by Hans Florine and Yuji Hirayama by a mere 20 seconds. Prior to that, the Huber brothers held the record with a time of 2 hours 45 minutes and 45 seconds. Most of the more than 100 different routes on El Capitan have some kind of speed record attached to them. Amin McNeely owns the most records on El Cap, 23 records in total, 13 of them being first one-day ascents. On June 22, 2010, Alex Honnold set a rope solo record on the nose, posting a time of 5:49. He had rope soloed the regular route on Half Dome earlier that morning, in about 2:09. Climb photography. Climbers Tommy Caldwell, Lynn Hill, and Alex Honnold photographed their El Capitan climbs using 360-degree spherical photography. The photographs were taken by them or by other photographers during the climbs. In January 2015, climbers Kevin Jorgensen and Tommy Caldwell photographed the free climb of the Dawn Wall. Base jumping. El Capitan has a controversial history regarding base jumping, and the National Park Service has effectively banned the practice. Michael Pelkey and Brian Schubert made the first base jump from El Capitan on July 24, 1966. Both men sustained broken bones from the jump. During the 1970s, and with better equipment and training, many base jumpers made successful and safe jumps from El Capitan. In 1980, the National Park Service experimented with issuing base jumping permits. The first legal base jump was performed on August 4, 1980 by Dean Westgard of Laguna Beach. These legal jumps resulted in no major injuries or fatalities. However, some jumpers exhibited significant disregard for the park's rules and the environment. After a trial lasting only 10 weeks, the National Park Service ceased issuing permits and effectively shut down all base jumping on El Capitan. On October 23, 1999, base jumper and stuntwoman Yan Davis died while making an illegal protest jump intended to demonstrate the safety of base jumping. Base jumpers continue to fight the National Park Service in court for access to El Capitan recognition. El Capitan is featured on United States $quarter coin minted in 2010 as part of the America the Beautiful Quarter series. The Apple Macintosh operating system OS by 10.11 is named El Capitan.